the program by introducing them to you. Delighted to welcome Dr. Aman Agarwal, Director, Indian Institute of Finance, and Dr. Sabyasachi Saha, Associate Professor, RIS. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the program. To begin with you, Professor Agarwal, how would you sum up the budget? Let's begin the program with that.
No, I think the budget has laid down the path for a $5 trillion economy and the Viksit Bharat program of the government of India in terms of introducing not only growth but also the growth which can be felt by the common man. I think almost all segments of the society have been touched upon. The capex has been kept almost consistent to bring in growth and the stability in the economy, and the fiscal prudence which this government has introduced for almost over a decade now is reaping fruits, as the Honorable Finance Minister also pointed out that her commitment has met grounds of keeping it below 4.5% and targeting further down going forward. I think the GDP numbers in the last 2 quarters have shown clearly that the 7.4% projected in the economic survey might even get surpassed if we are able to get a similar kind of a jump as we've seen in Q2, Q3 this year. In fact, crossing 7.5 if possible, because all the factors which are there are so positive, giving a positive rebounding effect. And in fact, the budget has laid down a pathway which industry across the globe and within the country looks upon for introducing investments in the country in different segments. And in my opinion, none of these segments, whether it is social sector, rural development, or agriculture, healthcare, education, you talk of a sector, it has been looked upon. Even from a macroeconomic perspective, she has contributed and given not only roads and railways, but even city infrastructure, meeting the AI needs and structures which are there, the latest to be there. She's also talked about employment and how different sectors will induce employment through her schemes which she has proposed in the budget. I think the budget is a way forward beyond, as we say, India is more like an elephant. It is like an elephant which has been added the wings of a jet to go forward at a very fast speed. Like the BrahMos is making a mark globally for India, similarly this budget will make a mark for this country.
Absolutely. Before we proceed, Manoj, 2 more guests have joined us virtually. Professor Ashok Vishandas, he's Professor Applied Economics, IIPA, and ex-chairman CACP, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. And Mr. Riaz Tingna, he's a partner tax, Grant Thornton Bharat. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the program as well. We'll get reactions from you in just a bit. Let me first get in Professor Saha. He's been waiting for long. Professor, your first reaction to the budget, because riding the expectations, there were huge expectations of this budget. So how do you look at it? Is it a growth budget, a reform budget, or a mix of both?
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. Once again, this has been a very remarkable budget in terms of the sectors that it has covered. It is an all-round budget. And it must be seen in continuity to the previous budgets, particularly the post-COVID budgets, when we were focusing not only on growth but also to ensure the supply chain resilience for the economy. And this year, in continuation to the push that was given to Atmanirbharta and Make in India, we see critical enablers being activated for the industrial sector, particularly the 7 sectors that the Finance Minister has particularly mentioned in her budget speech. We have also seen in the economic survey, which has categorically mentioned about the dynamism both in the industrial sector as well as the services sector in terms of its export potential as well as the importance for the economy. Overall, Finance Minister has touched upon key enablers for energizing both industrial and the services sector, because those are also the areas where the value addition would come from, along with employment. But at the same time, we must remember that in the last few years, there has been huge push to revitalize the rural development sector, the agriculture sector and others. And this year, we see no difference from that, and the continuity for a holistic rural development alongside very, very healthy economic growth of the urban centers, facilitating the roadmap for the MSMEs and other sectors would be key takeaways for me from this budget.
जी बिल्कुल शाहजी, और अगर बात उसकी की जाए, कृषि क्षेत्र की बात की जाए, जाहिर तौर पे सरकार का जो फोकस रहा है वो खेती किसानी पर रहा है और एआई के जरिए कैसे देश का उत्पादन बढ़ाया जाए, कैसे किसान को और खेती को टेक्नोलॉजी के जरिए मजबूत किया जाए, इस पर फोकस बजट में देखने को मिलता है। डॉक्टर अशोक विशन दास जी, मैं आपसे जानना चाहूंगा इस मुद्दे पर, क्योंकि खेती किसानी सरकार की प्राथमिकता में हमेशा से रही है। पिछले एक दशक में देखा है सरकार ने कई महत्वपूर्ण पहल की हैं देश में उत्पादन बढ़ाने को और किसान को आर्थिक दृष्टि से मजबूत करने के लिए। इस बार के बजट में जिस तरह से एआई का उपयोग करते हुए देश में उपज को बढ़ावा देना, उत्पादन को बढ़ावा देना, इस पहलू को आप कैसे देखते हैं? अशोक जी, अशोक जी अनम्यूट कीजिए।
Sorry. Yeah, I hope I'm audible.
Yes. जी।
Yeah. So the two things. One thing I want to make it very clear, because the emphasis is on not just increasing the production but increasing the productivity. These are two different concepts. Earlier, the government used to say until 2014 to increase the production, and increase the production does not necessarily translate into the increasing the income. So that this government has recognized during last 11-12 years that increasing production is not the necessary condition, but increasing productivity does increase the income. So having said that, there is a lot of emphasis in this budget to increase the productivity and production emphasis on those items which are in great demand, because how the farmer get the higher prices is through the demand, not simply increasing the production. There are large number of cases in the history not long ago in 2012-13 when the production of, say for instance, the groundnut increased manifold, very significantly, but the farmer's income went down because the prices crashed. So government is conscious of this fact, and the emphasis is on high value production. Just to give few examples, sandalwood is in great demand, so the government has recognized the need for this. And then medicinal plant, even farmers are being roped in to increase the medicine. And how this will increase, there is a lot of emphasis and campaign for establishing of All India Institute of Ayurveda, which is one as of now in India, but there are 2 or 3 more has to be established in near future. For that, Ayurveda production will also spur, and that's very high value. And people are getting increasingly conscious of value of this without side effect, not only in India but outside India. So there is a great demand. Farmers will get benefited for medicinal plants. And then the marine products, lot of emphasis on this, because increase in production of fish, dairy, because those are the sectors which are high value. India is the leading, not only leading, but the top country which produces the milk. And likewise, in the production of fisheries, and then other crops, the medicinal value, the sandal, the coconut, the cocoa, and things like that, which command high prices. So value is emphasized on this, and therefore I'm sure, and then AI driven technology in the agriculture will help a lot to the farmers to increase their income, because the income increase is most important, not the production. And increased income can be attained by increasing the productivity, not necessarily increasing the production. That is what the budget contains.
That's right. In fact, just a quick recap of the kind of special attention that has been given to farmers. The finance minister said in her speech that the effort is to empower the vulnerable to access mental health and trauma care. So in addition to increasing farmers' incomes and expansion of the already underway schemes, there are initiatives underway to develop reservoirs, to strengthen fisheries value chain, especially in the coastal areas. She announced support to animal husbandry through a credit-linked subsidy program, encouraging creation of livestock farmer-producer organizations, support to high-value crops like coconut, sandalwood, and cashew again in the coastal areas, which have high potential, but initiatives which will perhaps now focus more on these areas to support the generation of walnuts in the hilly regions, to enhance competitiveness in coconut production, and to launch a dedicated program proposed to the Indian cashew and cocoa. So all these announcements perhaps aimed at harnessing the potential of these areas and making sure that special attention is given to the farmers so that their incomes can also be increased, and that, you would recall, has been one of the focus areas of Prime Minister Modi's government since 2014. Mr. Riaz Thegna is also joining us. He is a partner tax grant Thornton Bharat. Mr. Thegna, thank you for joining us on the program. The first reaction on the budget, what is it that stood out for you from the Union Budget 2026-27, which again aimed at continuity and growth-oriented measures?
No, absolutely. I think one of the most striking features of the budget is the consistency with which the policies are followed. The emphasis towards reforms, simplification continues. Fiscal prudence is always being followed religiously, and that is really showing results. But in addition to all this, what we are seeing now is an emphasis on, enriching or developing human capital. So through the AI awareness, we are deepening in the financial sector, expansion of the concept of infrastructure from physical to an overall institutionalized skill development infrastructure. These are the areas which are going to help all the different categories of people, more inclusivity, and I think then the real issue of inequalities of income can also be addressed much better. So I think that kind of an all-rounded feature of this budget stands out. And the commitment towards decriminalization, making simplification of laws, again, remains untouched. So it's, I think, a very, very focused and consistent budget.
So at a time when, the global economy is uncertain, do you think the budget has done enough to not just accelerate India's growth momentum, but also help us build greater resilience in order to keep us insulated from the volatilities about which the economic survey also warned about?
No, absolutely, because firstly, you're talking about an emphasis on manufacturing, support to manufacture. There is an additional emphasis, focus on technical inputs, AI, etc. In fact, cloud-based services which are using Indian data centers have been exempted from tax. Those kind of approaches have ensured that there will be more amount of income flowing in. There is some relief on the investment front, allowing or encouraging more foreign investment to come in. With all this, the strengthening of the economy, both in terms of competitiveness, greater resilience, and of course, increasing the consumption within the country, all these are going to stand us in good stead against the global headwinds that one is facing.
That's right, and I particularly liked how Professor Agarwal, the finance minister, brought in the common man. She expressed gratitude to the Indians for, being part of this journey. We've had setbacks, back-to-back setbacks, I should put it like that, after the COVID pandemic in terms of global supply chain disruptions. Then there have been regional conflicts that have broken out, and then to add to that have been the tariffs. But the growth, India's growth story has stood out. But she's tried to connect it to the common man. She put it out quite beautifully that this is the first budget that was prepared in Kartavya Bhavan, and she's weaved the entire budget around the three Kartavyas. So I think in terms of listing out the three Kartavyas, the first one is accelerating, sustaining economic growth by enhancing competitiveness, building resilience to the volatile global dynamics. How do you think this budget takes it one step further to build greater resilience, to perhaps keep us insulated? Again, the same question that I asked Mr. Tingna, because these headwinds are going to perhaps expand in nature in the coming times, and keeping the volatility of these threats in mind, we need to ensure that we are on the right path and that resilience reflects in India's growth story.
No, I think the growth trajectory which India has witnessed, clearly visible in the economic survey. The international agencies, whether it is IMF, World Bank, OECD or any other agency, ADB, has been talking about the growth story, appreciating the growth story, the reform process which the government adopted, not only the fact that they only come at the budget timing like she has presented now or previously, but even during the year when the GST reform was introduced and Diwali bumper was given to the people at large by reducing GST to 2 frameworks, is a clear-cut instance and stand where they're saying it has a human face. Now, we have had budgets in the past where Kisan was the face, where the industry has been the face, the SME has been the face, the youth has been the face. This time there is a human face meaning that is the all categories, people at the lowest level, the middle level, everybody, even the people in the industry, they have been looked upon. You see, waiver of customs on critical disease, drug diseases and all. Similarly, in the GST reform when they were introduced in September, they was completely done away with about large number of drugs. GST was done away from them. Large number, about 98% of items were removed from the GST framework, from consumer goods. So the fact that the government is looking at the Aam Aadmi, the Janta, the people of this country, to make it proud of what we are, I think, to introduce that growth. And given the fact that we have recently signed the EU trade agreement and other FTAs which have been signed in the last year or two, and further some of them are coming in place as well in the future soon, they require a requisite kind of an infrastructure, a motivated human capital which is there to take that charge. Even if you see the first time a FTA agreement talks about labor mobility, research. Even in this particular budget, she mentioned at multiple stages to actually introduce research and development. So investments were linked with research and development, whether it was tourism, whether it was hospitality, whether it was education. So it was not only that I'm giving money for this purpose, but it was that you need to have research. Who will do research and development? It is not going to be machines or AI. It is going to be people who are going to function, scholars, researchers. A common man, a Kisan, will be involved in getting some of these up, and that's where the human face is visible. And this overshadows, and last 2 years we have seen turbulences, whether it is Trump, whether it is India-Pakistan war, whether it is other wars which are happening, supply chain disruptions which have happened, a lot of things have happened. We have brought our old gold back into this country. Now these are some steps which have clearly shown the resilience of this country against any kind of international turbulence which may happen. Even within the country, a turbulence like India-Pakistan was a scary fact. We had recently, after a long number of years, a small kind of a bomb blast which happened, not out of the blue, but not on as an attempt which could be controlled. Now these clearly have shown that there no economic disruptions will happen. People will keep growing, India will keep growing and keep contributing to the growth.
बिल्कुल अमन जी, और इसीलिए सरकार ने बजट के माध्यम से जो अपने 3 कर्तव्य गिनाए हैं, केंद्रीय वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारमण जी ने अपने बजट में, जाहिर तौर पर वो विकसित भारत का पूरा रोड मैप है जो भारत को एक विकसित राष्ट्र बनाने के लिए रोड मैप के रूप में कार्य करेगा। उसमें जो महत्वपूर्ण पहलू हैं 3, वो आर्थिक विकास को गति देना, जनता की उम्मीदों को पूरा करना और सबका साथ सबका विकास, जो पहले दिन से सरकार का एक मूल मंत्र रहा है। किस तरह से आम आदमी को देश का समग्र विकास किया जाएगा। साहजी, मैं आपसे समझना चाहता हूं, एक तरह से विकसित भारत का लक्ष्य है और सरकार ने अपनी नीतियों को स्पष्ट किया है इन्हें 3 कर्तव्यों के जरिए कि क्या 3 कर्तव्य हैं सरकार के जो आगे समय है विकसित भारत का, उसको लेकर सरकार काम करेगी। नीतिगत रूप से इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के लिए पैसा सरकार ने दिया है, गांव गरीब किसान के लिए सरकार ने पैसा दिया है, शिक्षा स्वास्थ्य के लिए सरकार ने पैसा दिया है, लेकिन ये जो 3 कर्तव्य हैं ये क्या संदेश देते हैं?
ये जो सरकार का, आपने सही कहा, शुरू से सबका साथ सबका विकास का लक्ष्य लेके ये सरकार आगे बढ़ी है और उसका परिणाम भी हमें देखने को मिला है, जिसको हम बोलते हैं सोशल सिक्योरिटी। जो सोशल सिक्योरिटी का इकोसिस्टम है पिछले 10-12 साल में, जो ये मैं जैसे बोला, ये इट शुड बी सीन इन कंटिन्यूटी। एक के बाद एक नए पॉलिसीज़ लाए गए, हर तबके की जैसे फ़ायदा हो, गांव, किसान, महिलाएं, युवा, आप किसी को भी ले लीजिए, उनका जो रिक्वायरमेंट है, उनके लिए जो सोशल सिक्योरिटी प्रोवाइड करने की बात है, उसके लिए जो एलोकेशन है, इंक्लूडिंग लाइवलीहुड एंड एम्प्लॉयमेंट, विच बिकेम थोड़ा वो मुद्दा सामने आया कोविड पेंडेमिक के बाद, तो ये सारे को लेके जो पॉलिसी इकोसिस्टम बना है उसी का ही कंटिन्यूटी में इसमें देख रहा हूँ, और ये बजट उसी नैरेटिव को और भी स्ट्रेंथन करता हुआ आगे बढ़े हैं। एस्पिरेशन ऑफ द पीपल, हमारा मिडिल क्लास है, उनके लिए क्या सुविधा है, उनका रोजगार का है, उनका इंडस्ट्रियल एम्प्लॉयमेंट का है, उनका सर्विस सेक्टर के साथ जुड़ने का जो सवाल है, अभी क्रिएटिव इकोनॉमी, ऑरेंज इकोनॉमी, कई तरह की बात इस बजट में किया गया है, वो एस्पिरेशन ऑफ द पीपल के साथ गिना जा सकता है। और जो विकसित भारत का हमारा लक्ष्य है, हम साल दर साल अगर यही इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ को बरकरार रखते हुए आगे बढ़ सकते हैं तो वो लक्ष्य भी हमारे लिए आसान होगा।
While details of the announcements are expected to come in and probably then we can discuss it further in the coming days, but one statement that the finance minister asserted at the beginning was that budget 2026 is Yuva Shakti driven, and then she's laid specific focus. I recall in the previous budget she had said there are 4 pillars to the budget which included Yuva, farmers, women. Today, she specifically used the word Yuva Shakti. Listening to the finance minister's speech, what is it that you think particularly caters to our large youth population? Today, we are the youngest population. We have the world's largest youth in the world. So, to cater to their aspirations, to cater to their employment needs, what is it that you think stands out in the budget?
Actually, this budget generates a lot of hope. Both in terms of the skilling requirements, as Finance Minister rightly pointed out, skilling requirements are at various levels. At the primary level, then you have the high-tech side of it, but also when you are developing the labor-intensive sectors, you are supporting the labor-intensive sectors, you are supporting exports from the labor-intensive sectors, even in a situation of global uncertainty. And then you have the industrial sector growth being prioritized at different levels, including strengthening the service sector. So it requires skill development at multiple levels, and Finance Minister has talked about it, including setting up university townships, setting up skill centers, strengthening mental health support system, strengthening the safety and security of women and girls so that they can participate in the labor force. So definitely this is something that is going to take care of the unmet needs still that are there in the youth population.
That's right. Let me bring in Mr. Riaz Thingna once again into the discussion, understand his perspective on what stands out in terms of the taxation announcements that the finance minister made. The last budget gave the common man a lot of reason to cheer because there was exemption up to 12 lakh per annum. But this time, of course, the announcement to that regard has not been mentioned by the finance minister specifically. We'll look at the part B of the finance minister's speech in greater detail as we get the document. But Mr. Thingna, what is it that stood out in terms of the taxation, something that that we are not understanding at the moment, but which holds immense significance in terms of putting us on a higher growth trajectory, but also in terms of keeping the people happy and taking care of their needs?
See, last year's budget had already made a lot of changes in terms of tax rates, given a lot of reliefs on taxation, and I don't think we expected any further changes in tax rates. What was required was the continued push towards rationalization, simplification, and creating a level of certainty. I think as far as rationalization and simplification goes, the announcement that the new Income Tax Act will be implemented with effect from 1st April 26, though there had been recent rumors that there might have been an extension, that helps a lot because the new Income Tax Act is a big measure towards simplification of laws. I think that has been done. The second part, and that is very, very important, the continued thrust towards decriminalization and the ad hoc levies of penalties. I think there's been a